Vice Mayor Wilmuth?
Yes.
Mayor Latham?
Yes.
Mayor, the motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to 14A, which is a quasi-judicial hearing. Will you introduce the item, Madam Clerk? Oh, I'm sorry. Did it? 12-8. Is it?
Yes.
No.
Hold on one second.
No.
Yeah, no. It wasn't. You're right. It wasn't 14. Which one is the?
14A.
14.
No. It's not. We don't want the ordinance. We want the application, the appeal of
It's
application.
12-8.
12B8. Okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that. It's item 12.
Are we doing the short-term rental instead of that?
We'll do the short-term rental one
Okay.
later.
Appeal,
This is
yeah.
the appeal of the
Yeah.
short-term rental. So yeah, it's
Okay.
12B8 on page 4.
Mayor,
Madam Clerk, will you want to
Yeah,
swear?
Mayor and
go
Commission,
ahead.
if I may.
And this is quasi-judicial, correct?
Yes, I was going to bring that up. This is an application for appeal of denial of a short-term rental vacation application for 7700 Miami View Drive. This is a quasi-judicial matter, as you know, in zoning matters. This is a specific application of rules on property rights involving this particular property. I ask that you evaluate this case on the record and other substantial competent evidence. Pursuant to Chapter 29 of the Code, at this time I ask the Commission to disclose any ex parte communication you may have had with any individuals or groups of individuals about this matter, and express it on the record. Thereafter, we'll swear in anybody that's going to give any testimony on it, and then we'll hear from staff, hear from the applicant, and go from there.
Thank you very much. I have heard on multiple and repeated occasions from various concerned citizens, most of them, all of them on North Bay Island, most of them on Miami View, I would say on dozens and dozens of occasions, at all hours of the morning, afternoon, and evening, and into the middle of the night, about the nuisance that this house, this property has caused for neighbors on Miami View. So it's difficult for me to disclose, exactly which have been the communications. But again, I can reiterate and tell you that neighbors have been disturbed by this constantly, and they've informed me directly of it at all hours of the day and night. Anyone else?
Me as well.
You as well, Dr.
You don't
Rosal?
have to disclose.
Yeah, well, he's disclosed as
Right.
well. Yeah, and I know that our police would say the same. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, if there's
I
any other
agree with the
disclosure-
mayor, just say, same here.
Oh, is that Commissioner Alvarez as well? Okay.
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 Go ahead.
I haven't heard from other residents other than secondhand from you, council, and Dr. Rosado,
Okay.
because I'm a treasurer. But I've heard the stories. Okay.
Any disclosure of any ex parte? Okay. Great. Dr. Rosado, if you want to.
I do. I'm trying to pull up the item so I can read the letter that I wrote.
That's right. Go ahead. I'll pull it up. Go ahead, take your time. Soon, breezing through the agenda will be a lot easier than it is right now.
I have a copy of the letter if you'd like it.
No, I've got it here.
They will.
I've got it up on the screen. Trying to open up a little bit wider.
Yes, it is.
I want to be very careful with what I say about this item. This is the first STVR license that I've declined. It may not be the last, but it's been quite a challenge. Although I didn't have to divulge the number of folks that have contacted me, I think it's fair to say that I've had dozens upon dozens of residents have reached out to me, immediate residents, others that live down the street, and I take it very, very seriously because these are phone calls that we receive early in the morning, middle of the day, sometimes in the middle of the night as well, for folks that are concerned about, I won't speak directly on their behalf, but people have told me that they're concerned about their safety. They're having a hard time sleeping. I know that we have one person who couldn't be here tonight because unfortunately her husband passed away recently. And this is one of the things that he mentioned to me a number of times that was causing him significant stress. So I will read the letter that I have formally sent to the property applicants, the business owners. Pursuant to Section 13.19 of the Village Unified Land Development Code, your application for a short-term vacation rental license for the property located at 7700 Miami View Drive is hereby denied. Please allow the following to explain. The ULD Code in part states, the village manager may refuse to issue a vacation rental license upon a third violation of this subchapter and any continuous 12-month period, including but not limited to, if the property has operated an unlicensed vacation rental in violation of subsection 13.3.a or advertised an unlicensed vacation rental in violation of subsection 13.3 b. Such refusal to issue a vacation rental license shall be for a period of 1 year. On April 26, 2019, the village's code enforcement officers issued 2 separate citations to the property for violations of these sections of the code. The underlying reasons were for your failure to obtain the requisite STVR license and for holding out the property for short-term rental without the appropriate license, respectively. A third violation occurred on May 11, 2019, again for failing to have the requisite STVR license. On both dates, the code enforcement also cited the property for operating without a business tax receipt as per Section 13.4 of the ULD Code and Section 110.06 of the Village Code of Ordinances. The property additionally was cited on April 9, 2019 for displaying a prohibited sign and again on May 8 for having ongoing structural work without a permit. Pursuant to Section 13.17 of the Code, you have the opportunity to appeal the decision of the manager to deny your STVR license application here to the Village Commission, why I imagine is why you're here this evening. The number of complaints I've received has been pretty voluminous, and I'm sure there are other individuals here this evening who would like to opine on this matter as well. Again, this is something upon which I receive daily contact from residents.
Thank you. How should we proceed?
From the applicant, to hear from the applicant.
Sir?
Hi, my name is Eric Brumfield. I'm the attorney for the applicant, for Mr. Lopez on behalf of Miami View Properties. And first, we'd like to say that my client is doing everything in his power to comply with the city and the licensing procedures. The advertisings that were cited in the letter were not his doing. They're not the company's doing. These are third-party people who pick these up on the internet and post these. As my house and many people's houses here are on Zillow and other websites, that's something beyond your control. These are advertisements that they did not do. As a matter of fact, 2 of the rentals that they had already entered into, they refunded the money, and they simply say to his guests there was no income made off the property because they didn't want to violate their ends of the contract. They will do the best they can to control and regulate these unauthorized advertisements, but this is not, once again, the under the direction or being paid for by my clients. We submitted proof. Mr. Lopez had submitted proof to code enforcement that he did not place these ads and he did not hold out an ad for these properties until his license was approved. These were done without their consent and without their knowledge. So the noise violations, the problem that they have for the noise complaints, they have a noise system now that they're going to implement, which will notify them when the noise reaches a certain level on the property, and they will know and be made aware. And as a resident of North Bay Village, he will get over there really quick, see what's happening, and shut it down, and make sure that that doesn't happen again. He's doing everything he can to comply with all of the city's violations that they've cited them for. A couple of violations that have been posted on the car saying that their property was under rent. The property wasn't rented at the time. These were some of the property owners who were inspecting the property or cleaning up or preparing for someone else who were cited and had their own cars cited for these. And finally, the additional citing from April 9, 2019 wasn't a cite. That was actually a warning that was posted on the property. And we have copies of all of the warnings and the violations. The violations, your list, that they received for the advertising, as I said before, they haven't conducted any advertising. There's citation number 3101, 3106, 3298. These are all advertising citations that they received, and as I've explained, they're not conducting any advertising. They've submitted proof to the code enforcement, and they can submit proof to the commission or each individual commissioner as requested, and vice mayor and mayor, to show that this is not their doing. And they would like to respectfully request to have their license application reconsidered, and so that they can come into line and operate a business, pay the taxes that they're supposed to do, and keep the compliance in. Yes. Introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm
My
sorry.
name is Octavio Lopez.
I'm
Hold
sorry.
on,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor. One thing we did forget to do is swear anybody.
Yeah, I was wondering what you're going to swear.
Yeah, swear everybody in.
Yeah.
So if we can just interject right now and just do a swearing in of anyone that's going to speak on this item, Madam Clerk.
Both in the public as well, right?
Anybody from the public as well.
Anyone from the public, please stand and raise your right hand.
Okay. Everybody good? Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My family and I have lived.
Sir, can you state your address, please?
Yes. My name is Octavio Lopez, first of all, and the address is 7700 Miami View Drive.
You reside at that address?
That's a vacation home.
Where
that
do
we
you,
have, but
your,
I used
your
to.
home address, please.
The home address is 2701 2701 Pinehurst Drive, Weston, Florida. The zip code is 33332.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, my name is Octavio Lopez. My family and I, by the way, we lived in North Bay Village for 17 years at 7504 West Treasure Drive. And now we have a vacation home here as well. That's the home that's in question. First, I'd like to congratulate North Bay Village. You definitely have come a long way. You guys are doing a marvelous job. And there's nothing more than my family and I would like to do than comply with all your rules and regulations. We are terribly sorry for any inconvenience that we may have caused any of the residents of North Bay Village. And we have taken steps, as my attorney has been mentioning, to correct these matters and work with North Bay Village to make sure that we comply with all your rules and regulations. And basically, we're asking for another second chance, an opportunity to prove that we can really make this work and respect every single rule and regulation that you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcio DeMello, 18279 Coral Isles Drive, Boca Raton, Florida. I'm a licensed realtor, Octavio Lopez business partner on this property. As he mentioned, we are working on, as our attorney mentioned, we have it's called Noise Aware, which is a app that monitors noise levels and both inside the property and outside. So if we are given an opportunity to get our license, we're going to install that and hopefully work with the police department so that it can measure the level. It doesn't capture individual conversations, but it captures noise, the level of noise indoor and outdoor, so that when it gets above a certain threshold, it triggers the system to both on your app, on your phone, and at the property. We also have in place right now 5 cameras throughout the outside of the house. So if there are any issues that were brought to our attention, we could have reviewed the cameras. I think the data is only captured for 30 days, so it depends on how far back we go. But any complaints that were received that they wanted us to review, we could have reviewed the camera and shown whether there was something going on or not. Other than that, we do rent mostly for families, although obviously we don't have a way to control.
You remember you're under oath?
Yes.
Okay.
And we do rent mostly
I think
for family. That
probably provably false, but continue.
I respectfully disagree, but we do rent. Obviously, when you are renting, it's difficult to see who actually comes, but we mostly do.
Sir, I have an
target
Airbnb. I know exactly
families.
who's staying at my apartment on Miami Beach.
Well, I manage other properties, both in South Beach all the way to Sunny Isles, and and I would say that we try to check everyone that comes in. We check IDs, match the names to the people that come in. We monitor the cameras.
How many do you have in Norway Village?
One property, just this one in question.
Okay.
Have you ever done it? Have you ever done it before? I mean, rented in Norway Village?
In North Bay Village? Yes, including Mr. Lopez's
Yeah,
house.
I mean, before that, or years ago, or?
At 7504 West Treasure Drive. I used to rent there as well.
Okay. Okay, so you're renting it, you don't own the property?
No, his house he owned for 17 years.
Yeah, the 75.
No, in Norway Village. I mean, do you own the property?
Which property are we talking
The
about?
one that is in,
No.
okay, okay. So you don't own property in Norway Village?
No, it's our vacation home for us, but we don't own it.
So you're renting
We're renting it for
from the
vacation.
owner of the
Correct.
property? Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Gentlemen, and whoever wants to answer this can. Our code enforcement has been by the property since the license was revoked, and there have been guests staying there. There's been a notice on the door, I believe, saying that the guests, and this has happened on multiple occasions, that the guests are friends of the family or the like. Is it in fact the case that since your vacation license rental was revoked, you've on repeated occasions had friends or guests staying there without any economic benefit to you? And remember, when you answer this, that you're under oath.
Yes, they actually, as soon as the license was denied, they came and met with me. I've dealt with this issue in other municipalities before, and I've tried to help people resolve the problems on both sides because it's something that you have to work together to solve. Because it's not something that the commission or this city is going to go away. I mean, Airbnbs, as you know, it's short-term vacation rentals is something that has to, but oversight is very important. So as soon as they came to my office, I advised them not to rent the property anymore until we came to the commission's hearing. As a matter of fact, last month's hearing I had to call because I had a conflict. We had to move it to this hearing, and I advised them not to rental. And they told me, we have guests that are already booked that have already paid. I said, well, then you have to refund their money. They can't stay because you don't want to do anything to violate what the commissioner said. This is the advice that I gave to my clients. And to my knowledge, they have not violated those guidelines that I have given them. If there's something contrary to what I'm saying, they can advise you as of right now, but I do not believe they have.
Mr. Lopez, would you like to answer that question? The question is specifically, since your license was revoked, has anyone stayed at your property to your economic benefit?
No, sir.
Okay.
We have, just to add, we have 2 cancellations that we have copies of cancellations that we did. We did allow the folks to stay there without economic benefit, but we do have copies of cancellations.
Okay, well, that's interesting because I think that would definitely still violate the spirit of our code. We need a referral from the lawyer. I mean, I think you can't just have people in that sense. And I asked you if it was for your economic benefit, but I'm not sure that's the relevant question or not. It seems pretty clear to me, and this establishes what I would like to establish. It's my opinion that you haven't taken seriously this issue, and now you've come very worried because your license has been canceled, saying, look, we're very sorry, we'd like to get another chance, which, by the way, wouldn't be the second chance, it would be about the 18th chance, somewhere around there, saying we're very sorry, but, I'm a neighbor on North Bay Island as well, and I'm really lucky not to live next door to your house, because it would be a nightmare. I can tell you that firsthand. I know your neighbors that live across the street from you, next door to you on both sides, and it would be a nightmare to live next to your house. You live in Weston. How would I would guess that Weston has some sort of vacation rental ordinance. I don't know. How would you like for someone to rent the house next door to your house and then have parties at all hours of the day and night? And we're not just talking about noise. We're talking about drugs. We're talking about trash. We're talking about parking. We're talking about all sorts of things that disturb the residential character of the neighborhood. Now, it is fully within your right to get some sort of economic benefit from your home. But, it's clearly also within the right of the residents to enjoy their homes with peace and quiet. And you, sir, have deprived the residents of Miami View of that right. And you've continued to do it after we've asked you to cease and desist. And now you've come asking for us to turn a blind eye to that and allow you to continue the practice, hoping that what you're telling us now is that you'll change your ways. Well, it's difficult to believe. Are there any other questions before we open it for public comment? Let's open for public comment.
Well, can come back.
I know we have, I don't see any specific public comments, but let's have Dr. Gregorio come up first. Doctor?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Dr. Gregory Michael. I live at 7710 Miami View Drive, and I have short-term vacation rentals on both sides. They've negatively impacted my life as well as my family's life since the first day they began operating. To set the stage for this, I wanted to read a text sent to me from a beloved community member who personally communicated with me about the importance of this issue. Sadly, he can't be here tonight for us and with us. This is a text. Roy writes, "Hi, Greg. Thank you for being on top of this, but as you can see, this is not the lifestyle we want. I have gastritis since the last month. I can't allow my daughters to stay home alone, etc." Did you give them the owners of the 7700 STVR information out? Because if the owner is aware of the situation that's occurring and allowing this, he is truly a piece of expletive. It's not my words. It is a nightmare, Mayor, living next to one of these commercial enterprises in a single-family home designed for a single family. It's not designed for frat house-style parties, corporate events, and, in my opinion, possibly outright illegal activities. My family, including my 14-year-old daughter, has continuously been subjected to noise, nuisance, vulgarity, illegal drunkenness, drunken and disorderly conduct, and that's just mentioning some of the few things. And this occurs about every weekend. Our neighborhood is being overrun with an immense amount of trash, aggressive driving, and traffic. Our city resources like the police department, fire rescue, and code enforcement are all being overrun. Add to that expense the mayor's time, the city attorney and manager, the commissioners and their staff, and we have who have a city to run instead of babysitting STVRs. Of particular concern is the ongoing illegal STVR operating at 7700 Miami View Drive. The owner of this property continually rents out this residence to large groups, corporations, as well as he must be advertising as a party destination. Previously, and I moved in 2008, Miami View Drive was a quiet residential street. I knew my neighbors. I could count on them to look out for my property, and I would look out for them too. Some of my neighbors have been here for more than 40 years. You heard Robbie Pfeiffer stand up and speak. I don't know if he knew that there was going to be this opportunity for us to talk, but anyways, what he mentioned is true, as well as there's younger families with children as well. The previously quiet and safe neighborhood that we once enjoyed has been fractured by the appearance of the STVR profiteers who trade my peace, our quietness, and our safety for their own ends. While some STVRs are run by previous residents who rent out their homes, 7700 Miami View Drive is an egregious, pure-for-profit business commercial model that has no place in this neighborhood. It's by example that I make these statements. First and foremost, 7700 Miami View Drive has no license to operate as an STVR, but amazingly, in the face of numerous citations, it appears to still be rented, even this July 4th. Please note that I have STVRs on both sides of my property. Please learn from my example. It is a nightmare living between these two STVRs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, for you to know, Andy Abreu, who lives at 7730 Miami View Drive, texted to me to read something for him, if that's possible.
Please go ahead.
This is from Mr. Andy Abreu, who's also bracketed by STVRs on both sides. And this is Andy speaking. Me and my family are very concerned about the situation with the short-term rentals. It's very uncomfortable to sometimes be in your backyard and have to have your family go inside the house because of drugs or bad behavior. It's just not right. Andy built and moved into his house because he saw the island as safe for his kids to grow, his twins. Now Andy thinks he's not going to continue to stay on the island because he doesn't believe it's safe anymore. The short-term rentals bring trouble to our island. There are people just renting without licenses, without caring if they get citations. We're always reporting this, and the police are always responding to the calls, but it doesn't stop. It's just not right for all of us to undergo all this effort, and he includes the police too, that they're working for nothing. I would love to see our island the way it was. Andy Abreu, 7730 Miami View Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Let me just remind everyone that this is specifically about the 7700 case, not STVRs in general. I would like to interject, and we'll keep public comment open. How many violations do we have specifically against this property, and what's the timing of them?
Well, I was going to take the opportunity once public comment.
Okay,
closes,
let's
to
finish.
incorporate-
Let's
to
finish
incorporate
public
that
comment
reference.
then. Mr. Stowe, did you want to comment? Yeah, this is specifically to 77.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Kenny Stowe, Miami View Drive. Again, Roy Martian, may he rest in peace, is not here, but he felt very passionately we are not against short-term vacation rentals. We're against scofflaws, people that operate without a license, buses with 18 people coming up to take your friends to the airport, women of the night, allegedly, different hours of the night, coming with suitcases back and forth to the properties. The fellow that left here before had a picture he took with him of a condom on the property. This is a residential neighborhood. This is nothing to be taken lightly. Our police worked, as you heard earlier in the evening, to protect our village and our residents. They should not have to be running fire drills to 7700 Miami View Drive. And the mere audacity to come here without a license and to pretend that now everything is going to be fine. You install cameras, and then you made reference to cameras before they were installed. With respect, there were some very vague comments made that may or may not be true, because I've lived this on a daily basis, and what I heard tonight doesn't reflect what happened in the property. And I would like also, when the time is appropriate, to find out who the owner of the property is, because this man identified himself as a tenant. So there are a lot of vague comments that need to be clarified, and I'm sure they will be. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Stowe. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Heidi Neckelman, 7710 Miami View Drive. I'm Dr. Michael's wife. I just want to clarify something. I've seen everybody that has come into 7720. I have not seen one family. Not one family. Maybe Rosie O'Donnell. That was the only family that I saw, but not one family. I haven't seen kids. I haven't seen anything. It's always a frat party. Always. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Any further public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. Mr. Spino?
Okay, Mayor and Commission, two things. To answer your question, in your packet, you'll see a roster of the violations for 7700. It's tantamount to 17 separate violations. Each one of those with its own record and a file here at the city, which I incorporate by reference into this record. With that, I also would like to say that I would ask the Commission to make its decision based on the substantiated record of these violations, as well as the finding by Dr. Rosado. While we certainly all can appreciate the feedback from the residents as anecdotal information, in the event that there is an appeal of this decision to the circuit court, that's not necessarily substantial competent evidence. But based on the information in the overall jacket of the property, you'll find a number of substantiated violations.
How many of those violations are related to actual noise or other violations committed on the property, and how many are for advertising without a license?
16 of the 17, according to the information.
Okay, so there's
the
one
17th
violation.
one was the property was cited for doing work without a permit, replacing windows on May 8th.
My question is about advertising for the STVR without a license.
Advertising?
How many of those 17?
Three.
Okay, so that's 13 actual violations which have been a nuisance violation in the neighborhood. The other 3 are advertising related. Even if we were to concede the point on we'll give you a chance. Even if we were to concede the point on advertising, we still have at least 13 different instances where the police were called for noise.
Actually,
where
no.
there was a... Sir?
Actually, no, there's not 13 different instances for noise violations. The violation 3028 was vacation rental without a license. Violation 3029 is business tax receipts not displayed. 30101 was advertising. 3106, advertising. 3298, advertising. 3303, vacation rental. 3036, business tax not displayed. 3037, vacation rental. 3034, business tax. The 3 vacation rentals I mentioned were violations that were posted on Mr. Lopez's wife's car, weren't even posted on someone renting the property. They were posted on somebody who was there cleaning the property or getting ready for the next rental. So to make
Sir,
sure
with all due respect, the way that the way you're speaking is very difficult to understand.
Okay. I have a list of
Let's do it this way. How many violations would you concede that are related to a nuisance or other matters? And Mr. Espino, your records don't match his records?
No, essentially what the records reflect is that on days where they have been operating without a license, they've garnered 2 violations. And it's without a BTR and operating without a license, because both are requirements under the code.
I see.
And so there are other times where advertisements, those are advertisements are on May 29th, May 31st, and on June 1st. The other, operating without a license and without a BTR, run the gamut from April 26 through May 26. So about a month, they've incurred a number of those sort of tandem violations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So every time they're out, it's 2. Anything to add?
There were only 3 violations before their license was submitted. And then after that, the application was submitted is when all the violations occurred, after the license being submitted. And then the denial came.
Mm-hmm.
So just to clarify the record, there was only 3 violations that were before the official license was submitted as my clients were trying to come in compliance.
My question's not really about the timing. It's more substantial in the sense that I'm curious how many violations have actually related to a nuisance report. And my reasoning here is, I think that what's overlooked in the STVR question, and we'll get to this in general, but specifically with reference to this, is the amount of time and city resources that this property specifically have consumed. Because we're a small city, and we have to pay for police, we have to pay for code enforcement. Code enforcement and police are constantly called to this property. I mean, it's like completely disproportionate from every other single property in the city. And I'm talking about condos and large buildings. It costs taxpayers a ton of money to have this city operating this way this property operating this way in our city. Disproportionate amount.
It's actually my client's contention that they've never been cited for noise.
Uh-huh.
All the sites have been for...
Is that correct, Mr. Spino?
According to the record, no noise
Yes.
violation has been provided. That being said, in correspondence with the chief of police, it's not customary for the police to respond and issue a violation upon the first presentation at the property.
Okay.
I don't want to put words in the chief's mouth, but essentially there's warnings involved before actual citations are.
Chief, can you come up for a second? Thank you very much. No need. Chief, can you explain to us the pattern of enforcement around this house and what we might be seeing in terms of enforcement of noise violation or occupancy violation and the like?
Like the village attorney just advised, our pattern or our approach on these things is to respond, issue warnings, whether it's noise or parking or whatever it might be, give people a chance to comply, and then go ahead. Second time around, we'll issue a citation. But it is a drain on our resources. We have a specific plan that we have to deploy every weekend so we can monitor this property. It's a big drain on our resources. Mm-hmm. It's not efficient public safety services. We're tying our resources up on this one property. And I will tell you that, Roy was a great person, big supporter of the police department. He was ready to move out of this village because of the intimidation, because of the noise, the quality of life issues, and it's a shame that we lost him. It really is.
Yeah. Chief, so we would, I'm not expecting you to have a record of this on hand, but we would have a record of the amount of times that complaints have been called in and you've responded to that property on a noise complaint but not issued a citation.
Mayor, I can tell you that just like the city manager, just like yourself and the rest of the commission, we must get 4 or 5 calls a week just on this property. Mm-hmm. And every single time we have to send a police officer, we have to take them off the road, get them away from public safety services on the causeway, responding to calls, just to tie them up on this quality of life issue. And it's a shame that with the limited resources we have to tie up one specific officer on a regular basis or code enforcement personnel on a regular basis to address the issues that this property presents. It's not fair to the community. It's a major quality of life issue, and it's not fair to this police department and village government services to tie up that many resources on one particular property because they don't want to comply or haven't complied, and they don't get it. They haven't gotten it to this point.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Any further questions for the chief? Okay. You have anything else to add?
No, nothing further. Thank you very
I
much.
have one more question for the.
Go ahead,
Mine.
Commissioner.
Is it the first time you're having? You're having an issue with a short-term rental in Norway Village? I mean, have you done it before?
It's the first time.
First time, and this is the first time you're renting a house in Norway Village?
No, before it wasn't, a license wasn't required. When I used to be the property owner, at 7504 West Treasure Drive, at that time, no license was required.
Okay.
Right.
Right. So you never had it after that? Never had an issue with like police being called in your property or anything like that?
No, this is the first time that we're going through the process for a license.
No, but I'm saying having an issue where police being called to your whatever property you've been renting,
At 7504?
or after, yeah, or
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Just one final thing I just want to add. The reason that I'm here tonight and the reason that my clients are here tonight are to come into compliance and to do everything that they can to try to make this not a nuisance anymore, to solve the problem, because they're not going to be the only short-term vacation rentals that are going to be here, and they're not going to be the last that are going to be here. So this is definitely an example of what to do and how to fix a problem. And if allowed to, they will work with the commission and the police department to try to remove the problem the best that they can. And I do thank you for your time.
Thank you. We've been attempting to work with this property for quite some time. They haven't come into compliance as recently, I understand, as this last weekend. They're not in compliance. And it's actually the only STVR that we're having a problem with in this sense. We have other licensed STVRs, but as far as I know, this is the only one that's causing this sort of uproar, including other properties on North Bay Island and on the same street. I can't say that will continue to be the case in the future, but at this time, this is a problem property, clearly. Mr. Espino?
Mayor, just for clarification, for the violations, notices were provided in addition to being posted by certified mail return receipt requested, and the advertising that was identified is on VRBO, a known short-term rental platform. The file is available and has been incorporated into the record, and I'd like to proffer the chief's testimony as expert witness testimony.
Thank you for that. Do we need to admit that, or?
That's with your consensus.
Please do.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Sir?
did submit an email, and actually I have a copy of the email where to VRBO to take that advertisement down, that it was without their consent, and they submitted a copy of that to the clerk's office, the code enforcement.
Okay. So just for my edification, on VRBO, you don't have any control as to whether your property is advertised or not at a certain time or a certain date?
That advertisement wasn't ours, but it showed up there. Then we got the violation posted on our, on the door. We contacted VRBO. We sent them a copy of the notice. They now told them that was not our advertisement. Asked them to take it down. They actually replied. We sent the email to the code enforcement officer, and I believe the advertisement was taken down within 48 hours by VRBO themselves.
I'm a little bit confused, and I really wouldn't like to belabor this point, sir. But just for my edification, again, this was a third party advertising your house in that case, which is for rent. So how does that work?
There's a lot of bait and switch activities that take place, not just in North Bay Village, South Beach. People advertise a property at the Satai, and then you show up and you get something, on Michigan Avenue. Or people ask for you to wire them funds instead of going through Airbnb or VRBO. So there's some scam artists out there that use pictures that they get online and create a separate advertisement to do advertisement.
Would not be the first time I've had a client who's had a spoofed account in an effort to scam potential renters. This is something that actually does exist.
That happens.
Yeah.
It happens in real estate.
Yes, it happens. And we contacted VRBO, and they did take the ad down, but it was not the advertisement on my client, and those were 3 of the citations. They did not place that ad.
Okay.
And just one more item. On any property that's listed on the MLS for sale, if somebody has access to the MLS, they can just right-click on that picture, save it, and now use it because it's not protected, let's say. You
That's
can
fine.
simply download it. And
I understand. I would say that wouldn't result in there then being guests staying in the house after that, which seems to be the disconnect probably in the cognitive dissonance being created for some of our neighbors on Miami View. Anything further, Mr. Espino?
No, Mayor, I think the record speaks for itself.
Do we need to consider, further action on this proproperty, or will we do that at that?
I think before you right now is just a consideration of a reinstatement or a confirmation of the denial. So
Okay.
at this point, you can entertain a motion
Okay. The motion would be to.
to deny the application for appeal of their denial. I know it sounds confusing, but deny the application of appeal of the denial of the short-term vacation
Deny
rental.
or approve the application depending on the disposition of the person making the
Right, exactly.
Okay, do we have a motion? Commissioner Alvarez?
I second.
Make a motion.
I make the motion.
To-
You have to say it, though.
To
Deny or approve.
Deny. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Deny.
Okay, now we need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Commissioner Stroud seconds. The roll.
And again, just for confirmation, it's based on the information on the record that's been proffered this evening.
That's right.
Thank you. Madam Clerk. So a vote in favor would be in favor of the motion to deny the
Correct.
application
Correct.
to appeal. So in favor is in fact to deny.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Alvarez? Yes.
Yes.
You will agree to your motion. Commissioner Strout?
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woolman?
Yes.
Mayor Latham?
Yes.
Mayor, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Thank you, neighbors. All right, let's move on. We are on 12B1. Madam Clerk?
No,
Uh,
I think we got to go back, right?
Is 12B1 or?
Let's go back. Okay.
Yeah, we're 12B1. So actually, we'll allow Dr. Rosado to introduce this item.
Absolutely.
Huh? That's okay. It was a little bit mentally difficult to. Dr. Rosado.
Yes, absolutely.
Señorazo.
Good evening again, everybody. The next item on the agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't use this very often, but I'll do it.
The next item on the agenda is regarding a potential design for the dog park. At recent meetings, I've received direction to consider the former Village Hall site the future home of a dog park. There's been discussion about whether temporary or permanent. That is certainly up for discussion, but at the last meeting I was requested to seek design services to actually get the dog park design permitted and up and running. And so what I did is that I contacted various cities around us to find out who has designed successful dog parks. The name that floated up to the top various times because of their work in Miami Beach and Bay Harbor Islands and others that have successful dog parks is Calvin Giordano. So I had contacted Mr. Gianno Feoli to